Hi, this is Andrea and Jim with the
While we are working.
podcast, episode 3.
Three. It's coming. I can't believe we're already on 3, but so exciting in the sense that we're on our third one here, getting hopefully a little better each and every time.
You'll tell us.
Yeah.
Or don't tell us.
Right.
So Jim and I had big plans of going to see Scream 2 in the movie theaters.
Okay. Smile 2.
Smile 2 in the movie theaters this week. However, plans fell through. So we decided to instead watch Smile 1.
I know, right?
Which would
Smile
seem
1.
like where to start anyway. And we did that on my couch.
Right. But
so
before we go down that road, though, I do think I need to correct something from the last time.
Oh,
so on our last one, I had talked about how in LA Confidential about her going to Bisbee, Arizona, and I was like, why would you go to Bisbee? I got it confused with Oatman, so two very different areas within Arizona, although I will say, no offense to anybody that lives in any of them, the aesthetic is similar, except for the donkeys. Bisbee is an old mining town close to the border, and a very interesting and cool, very eclectic area. A dress shop might do a little bit better than it would do if you had one in Oatman.
And for more information on geographical locations, you can refer to Jim's future coming other podcast about geography.
Right.
Back to it.
Yeah. Back to this.
Okay, so Jim and I watched this last night.
Smile.
Together, but we didn't talk about it. So like literally we watched it and we kept looking at each other, but we did not say anything.
We didn't talk about it at all.
Nope.
It was kind of hard because there was like a few things where I was like, what? But no, we did not.
Yeah. So now this is our time to talk about it.
Yeah. Can we just talk about one thing that in this whole movie, throughout the whole movie, was consistent, but also most annoying for me, is the fact that when she would pour herself a glass of wine, she took the smallest amount of wine. Like, who does that?
That is one thing I will say that last night we both caved and we did say out loud, it's like, drink the whole bottle. Yeah. Because she had to keep going back. And it was like...
Or at least fill it up with enough wine that you don't have to go back.
No,
like she would be like, oh, here's a couple sips. And, and then a few minutes later she'd smash it, but yeah.
Just drink the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because, that led to her breaking multiple glasses. Sure. Also, one other thing I just want to talk about that I've realized last night. So I have a much bigger thing to talk to you about that we haven't discussed, and I think you're going to be surprised about. But the thing that also really struck me last night, and I think this happens in all scary movies, and it really annoys me. Why do you keep your house so dark? Like, you are scared of something. You have seen something. Why don't you turn on all your freaking lights? Turn on all your outside lights. Turn on all your inside lights. Right. Get on FaceTime with somebody. Do whatever you got to do. But I swear to God, in every scary movie, it's like, oh my God, someone's in the house trying to kill me. Let me turn off all the lights.
Right.
And I get that's like the whole, scary movie thing. But like, if we're talking reality,
right.
What do you do when you're scared? I mean, do you literally sit in the dark?
I know, right? Or, oh my gosh, there's something scary going on. Let me get into bed. Because I'm just going to go, I'm going to sleep it off.
Yeah, it's so weird to me. I'm like, look, my hair. It's so weird to me. I'm just like, I don't know, like because every time something scary was happening, she would be like in that kitchen with the lights off. If you have not seen this movie, I think it's worth it. I think you should.
It's worth it. I think it's worth it, yeah.
Especially when we get into the bigger things about this movie. Yep. But I will say something that might bother you off the bat. Why is it always dark? And then I start thinking about other scary movies too, and I'm like, they're always like sitting in a dark room. Like, turn on your lights.
Or when somebody has something scary going on, like you have, something chasing you or you do whatever, why do they always go into like the creepy old house that looks like it's going to murder you on its own?
Like this one, right? At the end when she had to face or whatever, and she goes into like her old decrepit house, and it's like, you're definitely going to die in there. Like, you're going to die in there.
You look at it and you just, like, the minute you see it, you're just like, this is where you die. Like, I feel like I have been on, like, looking at houses and things like that, and me and my other half, we had looked at this house, and I said, I do feel like this is where people have died. Like, they have come here and been murdered. It may not be public, but I feel like people were murdered here.
Yeah. And also, but that she wasn't going to get murdered in that really nice house that she lived in with her fiance.
No.
That was pretty. No. She wasn't going to die there.
But also his role, the fiance, like...
Well, wait, hang on. We have to talk about that later because Okay. All right. My second note was she's a really good actress. Like, I actually believed her. She cried a lot. She shook a lot. She was nervous a lot. And like, sometimes people aren't good actors at that. And she was actually really good. I don't know what her name is. I meant to IMDb her. I forgot to.
That's really sad because I was thinking the same thing because I was like, is she Jennifer Gardner's sister? Is she like her cousin? She looked a little bit like Jennifer Gardner. And then there was a moment towards the end where I was like, oh, she's really giving me Neve Campbell vibes. And I feel like Neve Campbell from Scream obviously was really great. And I loved her character and I love her. So I was just like, she's giving me this cool kind of like Jennifer Gardner, Neve Campbell thing that I actually really liked.
And
I
then
really
neither
liked
of
her.
us looked her up. So we have no idea what her name is.
I'm so sad. We're so sorry.
So sorry. We'd like to invite you onto this podcast.
Yes, come to our podcast and we will, talk about this in person. And we can also talk about your need for Tupperware because you are not really good at managing glasses.
Plastic. They do make plastic wine glasses. Yeah. My 4-year-old's a big fan. Plastic wine glasses.
Yeah. So let's, there's one other thing that was standing out to me too. And I thought about it and I thought, okay, so the character in this is Rose, right? Mm-hmm. Her sister is Holly. Why are they both bushes?
Now that you say that, that's interesting.
I noticed it last night when I was listening. And she was like, my sister Holly. And I was like, Holly, and you're Rose, and you're both bushes. And I was like,
That's just an interesting thing.
I just thought it would be interesting if that was their last name.
It would also be interesting to, their last name is Bush.
Right.
It'd also be interesting to see if that was a particular choice on the part of the writers. So if you wrote this movie, Smile one, we'd like to know if that was on purpose.
Yeah, what was the purpose of that? Yeah.
Or do you just like the names Rose and Holly?
Yeah, true. Could be.
One thing I really liked, and I only say this because we made the mistake of watching La La Land, which I don't recommend.
Poor La La Land.
But the one thing I really had a problem with La La Land is that they had like no idea what decade they were in. I loved that when she went to her ex-boyfriend Joel's house and he was looking up all that past history stuff, she asked him, do you have a printer? And I was like, that makes me know we are in this time because no one has a printer. So she had to ask him.
Right.
And I don't know why that stuck out to me, but I was like, way to solidify your decade. That was all.
I guess a printer, yeah. I mean, you have a printer at home.
Do I?
Do you? I would imagine you do.
I don't think I do.
Oh, I do.
No, otherwise I wouldn't have to use the one at our office all the time.
Well, it's interesting that you said that because
I do not use the printer at our office for personal reasons. Sheila from HR.
Yes, Sheila. No. Mm-hmm. No, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people do, but I feel like it was a valid question. Like, do you have a printer? Because I think that is a common thing.
Yeah,
like, a lot of people may not have a printer anymore. I
just thought it was interesting that they actually included that. I don't know why. It stuck out to me.
How many of you are printing at work? Just curious.
No one. Only for work reasons.
Only for work reasons.
Half the reason I go to work is to print my shipping labels. Just kidding. The other half is for this podcast. All right. Then, so something that I took, because it'll lead me into like my last thing, but something that I took away from this movie, question for you. You see people in the middle of the street, like yelling at themselves and talking to themselves and like having what we consider like a psychotic episode. What if this shit is real? Like, what if we're not believing people when they're like, there's someone right there next to you? And we're like, you're just seeing things. So it brought me to this question. When she told her fiance about that and he was like, I don't even know what to say. And she was like, how could you not be there for me? I started wondering if Marcus came to me and was like, there is an entity following me and haunting me and like
run get away from him, because if he ends up committing that suicide, then it's stuck to you clearly.
But the question is,
he needs to kill you to get rid of it.
But the question is, this movie aside, like take this movie aside, this brings up a really big question, because a big part of this movie was that she thought she loved this man, and when she was her most vulnerable with him, she told him something that she knew would make her sound crazy. He didn't react the way she wanted. How would you react if your other half came to you and said that they were like being haunted by an entity that only they could see?
Well, I mean, I think so there is a movie called The Entity, which is based on a true story of this lady